listening to Erik Waddell Pause. We pause for a second or two. This is episode 22, Resistance to Pausing. Pausing is not easy. Pausing is not something we do very readily. If everybody would pause frequently, we would no longer recognize the world as we know it. There can be a great resistance to pausing. It can feel wrong to pause. It can feel counterintuitive. It can feel dangerous. It can feel like if we pause, we will lose something. It can feel like if we pause, we will be left behind. It can feel like if we pause, we will be the odd one out. It can feel like we might be pushed out of the group. Pausing is not something that necessarily comes naturally to us. Pausing might feel like an unrealistic ambition. It might feel like it's unclear what it should be good for. There is a lot of unknown being associated with it. If I pause, what will happen? It can feel very dark or foreign. The resistance we have to pausing is very real. The resistance we have to pausing and the pausing in itself are like two legs holding up the same reality. It's like you can't have one without the other. So if you actually do have an ambition to pause some more than what you do now, then it is crucial to dignify your own resistance to it first. It's sort of like you will not be able to pause more than the degree to which you are dignifying your resistance to pausing. So, to dignify our resistance is to claim space. It is to make greater claims than we are doing today. To pause is very dominant. For example, if you visualize a very dominant animal, let's take for example these great gorillas, these great silverback gorillas. They sit and pause all the time. They hang around, pausing a lot of the time. And when they are not pausing, they are doing very effective measures. They are taking very effective action when they are not pausing. So, to pause is a lot about making greater claims of dominance. And we all know that we cannot just claim dominance if we do not know what we're doing. We cannot just, in a conceited, arrogant way, make greater claims without there being pushback against us. So to be dominant, to pause, to claim time, to claim silence, that is not easily done. It takes practice and it takes great sensibilities. It is very easy to look at this big silverback gorilla and say, well, yeah, he's big, so he's making the rules. But it goes deeper than that. You cannot just be big and make the rules. If you look closely at dominant animals, they often are big, yes, most often they are. But they also have these great sensibilities. If you look at their eyes, how they are scanning their environment, how they are analyzing things, how they are measuring up the different intentions in the group, they have great sensibilities. And my guess is that if you know yourself to be a person of great sensibilities, that you have this sort of predisposition to measuring things up, being very aware of your surroundings, and making sober calls. If you are like this, then probably you have some aspiration, some ambition. Maybe it's buried deep down, or maybe it's close to the surface, but most probably you have some sort of aspiration to pause more. The greater your sensibilities, the greater your natural need for pausing is. So, our example of the silverback gorilla is kind of an extreme example. Most of us cannot identify with such a large animal, but we can identify with the sensibilities. And the silverback gorilla sits and pauses for hours and hours on end, sometimes just pausing for a full day without doing anything. And my guess is not that your goal is to pause for full days. So you have room for more pausing. So then, if you are willing to acknowledge and dignify your resistance to pausing, then you will be ready to take concrete steps, to take practical steps, to actually pause. And as you have been listening to this episode, you will probably already have addressed some resistance within yourself whilst listening to me. And this is pausing. Pausing is not something separate from what we've been doing now, here, in this podcast. So, in this moment, you have a tangible example of what pausing feels like. And you might be having some uncomfortable feelings in your body as you are listening to me right now. That is also part of pausing. A part of pausing is to bear uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable physical sensations. So, if we take another example, now I want you to think about an old person like a really old person. 90, 100 years old, like a really old person. If you are that age, then your body will be aching. Your tendons, your muscles, your back, your knees, you'll just be aching in your body because it's natural. Your cells are old. That's life. And old people, since they are aching all the time, they have to get used to aching. It's not optional for them. They ache. It's what old people do. They ache. And they often shrug it off and make some joke because they are hardcore. But they ache. And since they get used to aching, they also win the ability to pause. That is why old people are so good at just leveling you with one look. They just look at you and you know that they are in charge. You know that they are the authority. Because they stand, they can bear with ache and pain better than you can. So now you're starting to see like the circle going full, that being able to bear pain is the same as making greater claims to be more dominant, like the gorilla, is the same as being able to pause. And just as the old person with immense training, involuntary but immense, becomes adept at bearing pain, in the same manner we can do the same if we want to be able to pause, if we want to become more dominant for our own reasons. We can practice this. We can practice bearing pain for a meaningful goal. So, if you would like to become more dominant for a meaningful goal, maybe you have a clear goal, or maybe it's diffuse, I don't know. But maybe you have some sort of sense with your great sensibilities that you want to become more dominant, to be able to do something in a way you haven't been able to before. Then you will need to be able to pause at key moments. Dominance is all about pausing at key moments. And pausing at key moments always comes with bearing pain, physical, internal pain. Your chest will be burning, your stomach will be grumbling, your back will be hurting, so you want to shy down. It will be difficult to raise your chin. It will be difficult to meet the eyes of the other. Your throat will clog up. You will have restless legs. Your shoulders will go up. Your throat and your mouth will go dry. Your hands will sweat. Your intestines will become worried. All of these physical aches and pains and uncomfortable feelings, these are parts of pausing. And in some sense, it comes down to how badly you want it. How badly you want dominance. How badly you want to achieve your goals, whatever they might be. The old person has no choice. They just have to bear with it. All the uncomfortable physical sensations I just brutally lined up for you, they are part of an old person's everyday life. All of them. But for us who are younger, we can choose to run away from these sensations. And my point is that we don't have to run away. We can, in our own pace, try to be more bold, try to stay, try to bear with the uncomfortable feelings and see what happens. And step by step, little by little, pause by pause, we will surprise ourselves. We will grow, we will develop, we will become naturally more dominant. And with that increased dominance, we will see new possibilities that we didn't see before. We will see new pathways where we can go with our family. Yes. Going back, in conclusion, to this episode's title, Resistance to Pausing. I want you to start with just recognizing and dignifying the resistance you have felt to me and to what I've been saying during this episode. Your resistance is real, and your resistance is wise. Do not fend it off. Own it. You know your own resistance. That was it for today. Do you have anything you're thinking about?
No.
It was a handful. Thank you.
Thank you.